Good morning. It is a gorgeous morning here where I am. It is warm and sunny, and I am so enjoying this little bit of spring going into the summer or a little bit of winter and going into the spring. So it is just a gorgeous day, and I'm glad to be here. And I am Kelly with Kelly's Soroka Life, and I'm also with the Broom and Moon Coven, which is now the community is open for is open for membership, and the paid membership at the Coven curriculum is going to be open in April. Sorry, my dog's barking. Keeps going. So today we are doing another one of the readings that I have done, one that I made for myself over the past couple of years. I went through a time where I was doing readings and wanted to do some very specific readings for things that I was going through or things I wanted questions about. So I did I would come up with a reading and do the reading and write down the questions, and I shared those for a while on Instagram, and now I wanted to bring them to you in the community as a live reading. And so I'm doing this on the Fridays, and seeing that I'm just reading the comments, and no, I don't do any questions right now, but I'm just doing the reading right now. So but we can chat at the end if we need to. So for this live reading today, this one came about, and this one was due to when my husband and I were first married and had kids, and when they were very young, we had a will done. And so because the kids were young, and they needed certain things from us. If something happened to us, then they needed certain things taken care of. And so we did wills. Both of us did our wills back then. And now that our kids are all adults, and we don't really need that type of will anymore. And so this reading that we're doing today, called Leaving a Legacy, comes into that, because we don't really want to think about things that might happen. It's kind of hard to think about things that might happen as we go along, things that we might happen as we when we get older, and we don't want to think about after we're gone, or death. And it's like getting the death card in tarot. There's lots of meanings to it, but in the end, death is something that is going to come for us, and some of us have experienced it in our lives already very closely. Some of us have maybe not been affected as much by death, but it's there. It's here, and as part of life, and along with it is the death. And so looking at that, and looking at our wills and thinking, well, we've already got wills, and even though they're really not what we need at this point, do we really want to sit down and talk to somebody who's going to do this, and we're going to have to think about all of these things, and we're a lot closer to in that point in our lives than we were when our kids were younger. So it's a very different conversation to be thinking that this is something that we're in this latter part of our lives. But to do it, and to go through it, and to know that I have questions that I have answered, and I have questions, and I went through the questions that I knew, and we had an attorney to do this for us that specializes in wills. And knowing, what things were going to come up, and knowing what things that we were going to be asked, it made it a little easier to go in and say, this is, and for me to personally think about what I am, what I want, and the things that I want when I am, when I get to that point. And if I want my children to be able to be safe, and my husband to be safe in the knowledge that they're making a decision that I would want if they needed to make a decision on my behalf, or if I needed to make a decision on his behalf, that I would know these things. And so, we had a lot of conversations about what we both want, and the things that might happen in the future. And why it is, just, kind of hard to think about. It is in the end very practical, and it is in the end something that is needed to be done. And so, leaving that legacy, thinking about how we want to leave that legacy, and what we want to leave going forward, and what the kinds of things that we might want to do for ourselves now, and how can we, start building that legacy so that when we are gone and future generations are, here, then what we've left is something that we wanted. And it doesn't have to be, and I think, with like a lot of things, people start thinking about legacies, and they start thinking about fortunes and money, and having, houses and cars and things like that. And it can be that, and people have those things that need to be taken care of. But it can also be little things, just being, sponsoring a sports team, a kids sports team, or being a supporter at a school, your kid's school, or giving, there, I know that when we used to have horses, one of our horses had, a really big medical problem, and we had to take him to the big vet in the state. And so, and there were lots of people that helped us through what he was going through. And so in the end, they have, little bricks out that you can buy and make a dedication. And so we did that. And so, there's always going to be this little brick there that's going to be in honor of one of our horses. And so those little things you can think about, and think about, the little things, how can you make a difference today? And how, what are some bigger things that you might want to do in the future? And there might not be anything that you want to do. There might be just some things that you want to build on today. But any of those little things that you think about, and think about, how has this helped me? And how has this helped me? And how might I want to pass that on? And I know that, there's lots of healers that have schools, or have websites, or have, places where they teach healing, or they do healing sessions. And you might want to sponsor that, sponsor, just give something so that someone who really needs it but can't afford it might be able to take that healing space. So there's lots of ways that we can think about leaving a legacy, and leaving thing. And I think too, this one kind of came up, and I wanted to do this specific reading, even though I did it before for a more personal reading. Now that we're doing it in this community, and I wanted to bring it to the community, I really wanted to share this, because the world is, a hard place right now, and you might be feeling like, what can I do to make a difference? What can I do to leave a legacy in a place where, I feel there's so many things that are broken, or it just seems, I know I kind of feel this way. It seems so hard, to do things, to do something, and you feel like that change is needed, but you just really don't know how to, how to go across it. You don't really know how to go about it. And so this reading is, we can use it for something very small that we can work on today, that we want to leave for the future. And it might be something big. You might have something that you want to do and work on your own, and this might give you some ideas. But we're going to do the reading here for the community today. And the deck that I am using is the Wild Reflections, and this is it, the Wild Reflections Tarot. And I'll have a link to this one, and you can see it with the replay when we're done. So, leaving a legacy. There's 5 questions for this particular reading, and I'll have this posted here on the YouTube posts and on Facebook and probably on Instagram as well. So you can find it in any of those places. So, question 1: what legacy do we want to leave for the future? So here we have the High Priestess. And so for this legacy that we want to leave right now, we want to look at intuitively, see what is speaking to us, see what little voice is speaking to us, and what legacy that might bring in the future. So it might be something that you feel, and it might be some type of knowledge, because the High Priestess is about inner knowledge. So it might be inner knowledge, that's something that you have that you can pass on, and that you can start working on that today. You can be that person and be the person who is a guide, the person who is speaking that truth to someone else. And so here looking at the legacy that we want to leave for our future, really look intuitively, really kind of sit for a moment and just get a feeling. What do I have inside that I know that I can offer to someone else? And it might be in a big way, and it might be in a small way, and all of those things are really good. And so, question number 2: what can we focus on now to create this legacy? So we want to focus on the Fool. And here the Fool is taking that step, taking a step into the unknown. And there's so many things right now that we don't know, so many things that are unknown, so many things that are just changing in the world so quickly, that it might feel like this, that we're stepping out into the unknown. But have your resources there. The Fool has her resources here, and she has her bag, her wand, she has her trusty companion, the fox here, and she's looking out into the unknown, and looking out into the future, and looking out into taking that new step. So we can focus on that. Focus on what we do have. Focus on the support that we have right around us, the friends, the companions, the knowledge that we have, the wisdom that we've built over the years and up into this point, and how we can share that. All right, question number 3. What are you not seeing about this legacy? So what are we not seeing? And the King of Wands. And here the King of Wands, the king has gotten to that point where he kind of has a handle on what's going on. And so this king definitely has a handle on the wands, on the fire, on the creativity, on the passion. And so we might not be seeing something that we're very passionate about that we can give to the world. So look at that. Look at, the High Priestess is there for you to go inward. And then the Fool is going to go forward. And then with the King of Wands, it's going to be something that you're very passionate about, that you're very that you're very passionate about, that you want to move on. And so look at that, look at what and how can you do this in a creative way. There might be a way that you want to share, you want to set up this legacy, and you're kind of at a standstill of how to go forward. So tapping into that King of Wands, and maybe doing some journaling, doing some meditation, and figuring out how will this, what's a creative way that we can go forward and in looking at this legacy that we want to create. And then question number 4 is, what may test your legacy in the present? So, leaving a legacy, we have to do the things, we have to do things in the present. And what we're doing, the actions that we're taking now are going to affect our legacy and affect what's going on in the present. It's going to affect the future, just like our past has affected where we are now, and all of that is going to roll into where we go into the future. So what can we do in the present? And here, the Queen of Wands. So we have the King of Wands and we have the Queen of Wands. So we have these two energies working together, with knowing what to do and taking the action and using your wisdom in a creative way. And then, bringing in that intuitive process with the Queen, and with the High Priestess. And here, and that what's testing us is how we feel about it, thinking about when we're gone, thinking about the future, thinking about the world and the what's going on in the world right now. It's very emotional in all kinds of ways. And so that might be what's testing us right now, is we just don't know how to move forward. There's so many emotions, there's so many things that we feel, there's so many things that we're trying to work through. And it can be anything. It can be anger, or sadness, or apathy, or something that we're trying to work, but it's keeping us from really tapping into that moving forward. And so using that Fool energy and that King energy to really just starting to move us forward. All right, and then question number 5. What can you do now to make sure your legacy is long lasting? So, what can we do now? And we've got another court card. We've got 2 major arcana cards and 3 court cards. So, this leaving a legacy, there's definitely something to it. And there's definitely, and I think that it reflects the fact that leaving a legacy is something that needs work, and it needs tending, and it's also very personal. And so what can we do now to make sure our legacy is long lasting? And here we have the Queen of Swords. So we have the Queen again, this Queen energy tapping into that High Priestess energy of intuition, of of moving forward, of realizing how we're feeling. But then we have the swords here, that is about speaking, is about ideas, and about communication. So right now, the best thing that we can do is think about how we're feeling, and then communicate it. Communicate how we want to go forward, what we want to see in the future. Think about it, work through the emotions, and then let that inform what the idea and how you want to get it. And it might be that you need, again, to do some journaling, to do some meditation, to do some specific planning that you want to do. And you might need specific things that you can put into place. And then it's a great place to do that, and to make sure that your ideas are just like working with a will, or working with and any kind of document for the future, then that's that Queen of Swords, thinking about how you feel, how you want to feel, how you want your, your future generations, how you want them to feel, and then putting that in, into context and putting that into words. And so it might be, this might be, you might think, it's been a while since I've done a will, or it's been a while since I've gone over, my papers that I have, or it's been a while since I've gone through and gotten rid of things that I don't need anymore, or things that might be just clutter right now. So that is, moving forward with that Queen of Swords energy is kind of, is like giving us the ideas and how we want to feel, so that we can make sure that it is something that's long lasting. Because anything, it might be something big that you do need to do a will, or you need to look at documents personal documents that you have, or maybe you need to you might be in a place where you are caring for a relative, an elderly relative, and that person's documents, or things, or wishes, or things that you might not, that might be something that you need to know. And so, we're all in these different phases of our lives, and where this legacy can come in. And so, think about it, where you are right now, and where it might spark something new that you think, oh, I never thought of that. This might be a new idea, or it might be something that, I know I really need to do this. And, what are the steps that I can take to make sure that it gets done? And it might be just something small. You want to, look and see where you can donate something. And, even donating, the smallest amount, makes a difference. And again, a legacy doesn't have to be money, or doesn't have to be things. It can be your time. It can be, your time that you are giving right now, so that something can go on in the future. Donating something, your time now that you have it, and because this, whatever you're donating to, will be there for people in the future. So, and it can be, it can encompass your family, it can encompass your friends, and it can encompass people that you don't even, know, but you feel like that it's something that is helpful, or something that is that will be helpful, or that will be something that should, last a long time, something that you really believe in, and that you want it to go on in the future. So look at those things, and look at those the things that you can look at in leaving your own legacy. And again, I'll have all of this information for you, so just checking the posts, and the replay will be up. And to Cinderella, who was here live and is a new subscriber, thank you for being a new subscriber. And I don't do personal readings here on this live reading. It's a group reading. There are links in, if you want to find links to get into contact me about doing a reading, then you can do that. I'll have everything in the description when this replay goes up, and you can find that on here on my YouTube channel. So again, I hope that you have a great day, and that this is, I hope, something that's helpful for you, even though it's a subject that is sometimes hard for us to talk about, to be, just to relate to sometimes. And it can be, very, very painful, but the cards are here for us. And that's one of the things that I do love about tarot, especially, is that, they can help us work through these things, and give us a voice to work through these topics that might be very difficult. So thank you again. And also, there is a link. You'll see a link in the description as well that you can join the Broom and Moon Coven. The community, the free community, is open and it's hosted on a platform called Skool, and it's Skool. You can find that. You can find the link to go there to join Skool and to join the Broom and Moon Coven. There's lots of things that I have planned for this month in March, free events to get everybody into the community and to get chatting. And so when you're ready and you can find out if the paid membership, the Coven curriculum is something that you're interested in, that opens in April. So thank you again for being here, and I will see you again soon. Bye.